Hi everyone, it's Natalie. Um, I'm not coming to you from the greatest place ever. I'll be straight up about that right off the bat. Really bad day. I'm trying to really reground myself in the present moment. Essentially, I've been working the last month knowing, as a substitute teacher, knowing that I had to wait from the time I was hired until the 15th of March before I would get a paycheck. Um, what they didn't tell me about that was that I would only be paid for the 2 days that I worked during, because I was hired at the end of a pay cycle. And I knew that they would then have to skip the next and that I wouldn't be paid until the 15th of March. What they didn't quite make clear was that whole the schedule of payments, and how that was exactly structured and what I could expect and how many days I'd be paid for each pay period and all of that. So I worked 2 days at the end of a pay period that I was hired in, and that's what I got paid 1 month later, about 5 weeks. So I've been without a paycheck for 5 weeks despite working that whole time. And I got a whopping $173.56 this morning when I checked my bank account. So if I tell you that I'm in need of some rebalance, it's the truth. So once I took the dog for a walk and, found someone to complain to and so on, I thought, well, I'll come back to, pick up a deck, you know. So I did, because, forget about buying new decks. I can't even pay my bills right now. So fun times, real fun times. I'm being sarcastic because if I weren't, I'm so angry and I'm so sick of the way our system works in this country and the way that it exploits people, especially people with education and especially educators of all varieties that I could. It's bringing up the meanest, angriest, most vengeful parts of my being right now, in all truth. So I sat down with my Mother Peace deck. It's a little mini Mother Peace, and I would at some point like to get a full-sized one because I love this deck. I really never expected that. I just got a mini because I thought I would enjoy playing with one, and I have. And I figured I'd know after playing with this one whether I really wanted to buy a full-size one or not. And after playing with this once, I think I was kind of completely in love with it. So yeah, and it's such a comforting, beautiful deck. So I sat shuffling it and thinking about how okay, it's a Wheel of Fortune year. Well, before I picked up the cards, I started thinking, okay, it's a Wheel of Fortune year. I know that. This sucks. This has been going on, this kind of uncertainty and not knowing 1 minute to the next, what's going to be happening and how things are going to play out and all of that. And so I picked this up and I was shuffling it. And as I did that, a couple of cards flew out. And I have a thing with my decks and the way that I read. If cards fly out of my deck, sometimes even if I'm not in the mood to really converse like that with the deck, I will still go ahead and pick them up and just look at them real quick before I put them back in. And I almost put these two back in without looking. And then I thought, no, you're here for a conversation. And usually when this happens, there's some kind of encouragement on the other side of it. Pick up those cards. So I did, and I'm glad that I did, because one of them was the Wheel of Fortune. And in this case, the fact that I had just been thinking about, it's a Wheel of Fortune year, for you. I don't know. That just felt really reassuring somehow and really kind of beautiful. So there was this one. And then I know I'm about to be yay, I got this card. And I know that most of you are going to be why would she ever want that to be a card that comes up for her? But this is a card that I really love, and it's a stalker card for me at the moment, and not in a way that you would necessarily think. Um, I'll just show you. It's the Tower. So I know, oops, here we go. I know most of you are going to be like, why would nobody wants the Tower, right? Like the Tower is like the card nobody wants. Um, but if you can see what's happening to this woman, she's kind of almost receiving, not all she is, she's sort of receiving this shamanic initiation here, and or some kind of like spiritual insight initiation thing. She's harnessing that lightning. It's not controlling her, she's dancing with it. One of the reasons I really love this card, and love this deck. So I've made recently a longer video about this, which hopefully by the time I upload this one, that one will have gone up. I'm just so behind with uploads, it's not even funny. It just takes so long for them to upload on my internet, so I just avoid it, and it's just rough. So anyway, suffice it to say that it's usually when this card comes for me, it's of late, the way I'm feeling it and receiving it is as a reminder of kind of a sacred responsibility or like promise that I made at the end of what I guess I could call the biggest Tower moment of my life, and the way that really changed my life. So that these cards, I mean, really all you need to know is that these two cards popped out. It was like having, when you have a friend that says, wow, I really see you, I see what you're going through, hey, you're having this moment, right? That's kind of what it's like, when that happens. And it's a really weird kind of super, super cool thing that happens every now and again when I'm working with my cards. Another card that came flying out, and I thought, why would what is this? What are you doing here? Was the Ten of Discs, or the Ten of Pentacles, Ten of Coins, right? And I was doing some work last night with La Corte de Tarocchi. Again, I'm hoping that this video is one that I've already uploaded, because if it's not, I'm really that far behind. But the first card to come out of this deck, when I asked it, what do you want to do? What do you want to tell me about yourself? It gave me this card, the Ten of Coins. And that was also significant at that moment because I'd been in my car yesterday afternoon driving and thinking, oh, I want to go home and interview my Corte de Tarocchi deck, because long story short, I was missing an 8 of Swords, and Collect Tarot had just sent it to me, and I managed to finally integrate the whole deck this week. And when I did, it's like it started calling to me. So I heeded the call, and I spent a lot of time last night like interviewing this deck and kind of completely falling in love with it and bonding with it. And so it was interesting to me that as I was, shuffling this deck, another Ten of Discs popped out. So I wasn't asking that same question, but it was just worth noting. We all know, those of us who play the tarot, we all know that the odds of those things happening, statistically speaking, are really very slim. So when they do pop out, they're significant. They mean something. So I pulled out a tarot pulse and eventually, and reshuffled those cards in and pulled them out for the video. So first card I came out with was Temperance, and the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups here in the Mother Peace deck is a little bit different than it is in a traditional RWS deck. A 7, they're working. Karen Vogel is working more from a numerological perspective. So while they borrow from and absolutely take elements out of, and I've never read the book, so I'm doing that. I mean, I'm coming to this based on, having a very, really powerful working knowledge of the RWS system, but and lineage. But it seems to me that most of her cards will reflect RWS to some degree or other. And as I was playing with it, you know, I've also realized like there are also many differences, and one of them is numerological. So numerologically speaking, she comes to this from a very different place. So a seven, in numerology is actually a very deeply spiritual place. Um, and it's less about sort of having too many choices, and it's much more um, about the flow of one's sacred spiritual, I guess, inner life or understanding. And that's definitely what's in here, and the way she's depicted the seven of cups, which is interesting. Kind of harkens back to what I feel like the purpose of this card is what came out here, or what came out here in the Seven of Cups. And then if I look at this Temperance, that's what this Temperance is doing. It's calling for balance. you know, she's actively looking to balance the elements, pull them together, um, get them to balance with one another, right? She's calling the elements and asking them to cooperate. So I thought that felt really significant at this particular moment. Second card that came out, and I think these two were like on top of each other, and I thought I'd shuffled well and started to think maybe I need to reshuffle, and it was like, no, you just do the thing. So Strength came out second. And I love this Strength card. She's friends with nature, and she lives in balance with nature. So that's how Strength plays out in this deck and in this world. And I came out with the Shaman of Wands. And I didn't put this together until just now. Like, again, I was referring to this as being like some kind of a shamanic initiation. I don't know. I think in this particular case, what we're looking at is kind of a like, remember that remember you have this ability. Remember you have this power. And don't slide into feeling sorry for yourself. Don't slide into a place of being a victim. Just keep your head up, stand tall, and remember you're going to be okay. Right? So, and I do kind of feel like that at the core of things. I do. It's just really, I just wonder why the world sucks. If I'm honest, like, why does the world suck sometimes, like, so much? And I'm really good at filtering out the suck. I'm very, very adept at that. And yet it manages to come and find me and knock on my door anyway, like it does with all of us. But, ugh. Anyway, here is the third one, was Justice. I love this Justice card. Definitely more like my version of how justice would work. If I were president of the universe, this is how justice would work. I'm not president of the universe, and I'm not likely ever to be either, and that's okay. If I were, it would be way more fair. It would be a much nicer place. And the response to this one was the Two of Swords. And again, this Two of Swords also tends to mirror the Justice card in the RWS system much more than it does in this deck. And yet this one holds more like a much closer meaning to the way I tend to interpret the Two of Swords, which is just to find a sense of gentle balance. So here I am looking for balance, and I'm getting all these cards that are coming back going, it's okay, here's some balance, you're going to be fine. Let us help you balance. So, yeah. And I love that card. It's such a beautiful card. So that one was that. And then I have the Crone. So it's the Hermit as the Crone. Or the Crone is the Hermit. mystical hermit, and her gift to me was the Eight of Discs. And the Eight of Pence, discs, coins, etc., often kind of eludes me a little bit. Um, I often feel like I know what it is, and then I kind of feel like I don't know what it is. Um, Sometimes I've been known to use it as a means of goading myself into you don't work hard enough. And then I realize, no, most of what I'm doing most of the time, even in my hobbies, is finding a way to, it involves a lot of work, right? You know, so I took this one and I went back to, and of course I'm American and was raised Protestant, so hard work is always relative, isn't it? Um, and then I chose Korean Buddhism first. It's never. Oh. I laugh because Korean Buddhists, like, really, we were, I would say, in the tradition that I came to, and it was not the quantum school, just FYI, if any of you out there know the quantum school is, it was not the quantum school. It was with like a solo guy that came over from Korea in the 70s or late 60s, early 70s. And his idea, I couldn't stay, let's put it that way. But hard work is definitely his ethos. Anyway, so on this one, the Eight of Pence is on the path, apprentice, adept, having many skills and cooperation. And I'm trying at the moment really to just read the cards. Just read the cards as they are in that particular, author's deck and the way that they see the world. So if I look at the way that this guy comes across, or this card comes across, it's very collaborative, and it is a lot of different skills, and it's a very gentle use of those skills or application of those skills. And it's not a matter of them like changing paths. It's not a matter of them changing what they do. Everything they need to do is right in front of them. And so the task is just to keep going. And the fact that that one is related or linked, so closely with the Hermit, and the Hermit, according to, Lisa from Mindful Tarot, is reflective of, in the four virtues, is prudence. So, and she relates it to Father Time, so the way that you would see, them laid out, see the majors laid out in a Mercedes deck or in one of the earlier decks is closer to that interpretation. But again, I'm going to interpret this based on the system, that I have in front of me. So if I do that, what I end up with is a system, or is a crone who is mystical, right? She's going within for her knowledge. She is, she's responding to her own inner state, to the way that things are, and she stays very faithful and loyal to that, right? She's being guided, and she's allowing that guidance to come through. So, again, it's not a difficult thing if justice looks like this, right, which is very gentle, and it's restorative justice, I would say. This is justice that's calling for some gentle restoration. Just chill, just do the things that help you keep a sense of balance inside, and you'll be okay. The strength here is in connecting to nature. Right. Strength is fortitude, right? Have my little cheat posted here right above me, because I use this spread most days. And every now and again I just need a reminder what those four virtues are. But because some are obvious, some are less so. Justice and temperance are obvious, but fortitude and prudence less so. And I sometimes reverse them. Anyway, if strength is this kind of gentle connection with nature, and the elements and the environment around, right? And allowing what's there to be there without the need to control it, then this, this shaman of wands or king of wands is also saying, look, this is your kingdom. You have power over it. You have dominion over it. Just chill out. Stand your ground. Stand tall. Have your dignity and keep moving forward. And again, the temperance commands the elements. She's there. Whoops. She's there commanding the elements and tempering them. And, this Seven of Cups is like, allow your own spirit and spiritual energy, emotional energy, all of it to be fluid, peaceful, and remember you are holding the balance, right? Again, like you get to hold the balance. You're in charge. You're in charge, and whoops, there it went. It flew. And you don't have to do it all by yourself. So, kind of a beautiful, beautiful reading with these cards, and a beautiful reminder, that I'm not alone. And I really love that about working with the tarot and working with this deck, because even in the worst of moments, when I just feel like shit, and I should say too, I don't feel like shit about myself. I didn't do anything wrong. And it doesn't mean I'm bad or lazy or any of those things, which at earlier points in my life, and even not that far distant from now, I might have been inclined to have those judgments about myself, and I really don't. I'm just really, really angry, honestly, that the system, and at this point, just a lot of the anger I got out of my system earlier by being with it and being present to it, instead of acting on it, which tends to soften it. It tends to release it and get it out of your body. But it does just leave you, it's so unnecessary. It's just so unnecessary. I could go on such a long rant, and I will spare everyone that rant, because I don't think I have anything that's all that new to say, and I certainly don't have any solutions to offer. I just wish that we lived in a world, where things could, reflect the effort put in behind them. It's just sad. And I know that I'm not alone in this. I know that everyone struggles with this. I'm really fortunate to have a partner and a family that support me and love me and want me to be well and want me to do well. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. Deeply. So whoever you are, if you're watching this, I really hope that all with you is well. And I hope that that your struggles and your pains and your difficulties can be met with empathy and kindness. So thank you for watching. Hopefully something I offer again soon will not be nearly so depressing. But I can't promise anything. Such is the way of life. Thanks.